In this video, we're going to lower my 73 Nova with some Hotchkis Leaf Springs. Come check it out. Okay, I'm upgrading the rear end in my 73. Right now the rear end has C-clip eliminators on it, so I had to cut the housing ends years ago when I put that together. Now it's going with a regular rear end so I can do a lot more street driving and do some pro touring with it. So while I'm changing the housing out to one with the bearing end still on it, I'm going to upgrade the leaf springs, lower the car a little bit. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you what I bought, show you the springs I bought. I'm going to put a link in the description for these springs. And then I'm going to measure the car, see where it's at now, kind of get a baseline, and then I'm going to install everything and see how it turns out. Okay, I bought the Hotchkis 1.5-inch lowering sport suspension springs. So let's open them up, see what it comes with. This one comes with hardware. So 2 leaf springs, bag of hardware, bag of instructions, and the first thing I always look for, most important thing you can have if you have an old car, stickers. That's right. These make your car faster, they make it lighter, they make it more aerodynamic, they make the girls want you more, or the guys if you're a girl. Anyway, got that out of the way, got instructions, comes with a ton of hardware. Let's open up the hardware and see what all we've got. Okay, this kit comes with new U-bolts, comes with a bolt kit. What I'm really happy about, it comes with new front leaf spring pad clip nuts, because these are a lot of times stripped out from rust and stuff like that. Let's see, comes with new shackles. I'll open this up in a second. Comes with new shackles, comes with new rubber pads. I'm not certain why it comes with 4 rubber pads. Maybe one on top, one on them. Okay, I thought my car just had 2, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, comes with all this stuff, comes with the leaf springs. Let's get started and get the old rear end out of the car. All right, first thing I want to do is I want to get kind of a benchmark to how high the quarter panels are off the floor, and get an idea if it's really going to lower it. Some of the reviews I've watched on these, some of the reviews I've seen on some of these springs, they didn't lower the car enough. I really don't care if it lowers the car at all. I'm pretty happy with where my tires sit, and I'm going to 18s on this car. My main thing is I want a better spring rate. I've got 5 leaf springs on there now. They're reproduction originals, and it's fairly stiff. I don't know what these Hotchkis springs are going to do for my driving, but I know that they're I think a 3 leaf or something like that. So they've got a 175 inch-pound spring rate. I have no idea what the stock ones are, no clue. I'll try to look that up, but for right now I want to see how much it's going to lower it, because I still want to put a pretty good sized tire on there. So it's 24 3/8. I'm going to measure the other side and see what it says. .24½. So now that we've got basically 24.5 on both sides, it's real close. Let's get the tires pulled off, get the rear end pulled out, and get everything put together. Alright, hopefully nothing jumps a little bit when this thing comes all the way out. Really shouldn't. Never know how dirty your car is until you have to lay under it and beat on it. Tastes like Florida. Let's try this. Ah, there we go. All right. Now, I've got a jack under the rear end. I've got the car on jack stands. And I've got another jack on the subframe connector over here with a little bit of pressure on it. So I'm really hoping this thing doesn't jump around a lot. Let's get the inside one first. That way when I take it loose, my arm's not under there. Well, as much. All right, and here comes one side of it. There. It's not so bad. Let's get the other side. Now the first thing I did was take the drive shaft out and take the shocks loose, and then I took the brake lines loose, and unfortunately all of that did not get on camera. I had a problem with my memory card and didn't realize it. So let's leave that one in until I get the other two out. And I know plenty of you know this, but if you're working on this stuff under a car by yourself, make sure you have somebody checking on you. My wife comes down here to the shop every few minutes to make sure I'm not trapped under a car or on summitracing.com spending a bunch of money. I think she's more worried about one of them. Not sure which one. All right. Okay, let's let it down some and then see if it'll slide out without a lot of drama. Hopefully it won't tip over, but if it does, hopefully the leaf springs will stop it from rolling too far. Yeah, definitely front heavy. Probably going to need help over here to rotate it so I can pull it out. Yeah. Oh, my Mercy brake cables. They aren't hooked up. All right, let me take those loose. All right, I got the Mercy brake cables out of the way. So now I'm gonna let this, well, yeah, it's down now, okay. Not really what I was planning, but having to scratch up my floor, but I've done worse recently. All right. Okay. So there it is. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the posi and the gears out of this housing and put them in that housing that still has the bearing ends. So I can not have to worry about C-clip limiters leaking. You can see where I've got rear end lubricant all over that brake drum. My pinion's leaking. Looks like my axle tubes are leaking. I might have to get those welded up because this thing's been in the car with a big block with a bunch of nitrous on it. So anyway, I'm going to get this apart, get everything swapped over, and we'll pick back up on the leaf springs after I get the rear end put together, and the rear end will be another video. Okay, now that we got the rear end out, it's actually been a few weeks. Things have been crazy with my business, and this whole lockdown and quarantine thing is getting kind of crazy. So back in the shop doing some work, and I said I was going to take that pumpkin or that posi and gear out and swap it to another rear end with some other axles I had. But when I went to take it apart, the pinion nut was already kind of loose and there was a whole lot of backlash in it. So I put a new posi and a new gear in it just to make sure everything was okay. My next video will probably be about building the rear end for Nova, which is going to be a 410 gear with a new posi that I have, and putting some Moser axles in it with C-clip eliminators. On this one, I ended up using a new housing that had the bearing ends still on it. For C-clip eliminators, you cut that off, and I don't want C-clip eliminators on this car anymore because I'm going to be doing some more street driving and pro touring kind of stuff. So I didn't want the C-clip eliminators. Anyway, let's put some axles in it and get it back up under the car with the new leaf springs. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I bought some axles at a Summit Racing Scratch and Dent sale. These are the ones I thought I was going to put in this rear end because the tag on them said that they were for this kind of car, the Camaros and Novas. Now, I didn't realize it until the other day when I got started back on this project that these are a 1/2 inch too long. So I took the old axles out and they're rusted and pitted pretty good bit. And I noticed that's when I noticed they were too long. So I decided couldn't use them. So I ran up to Summit, and I'm about an hour from Summit in McDonough, Georgia. And I picked up a set of Moser C-clip direct fit axles, and I bought some 3-inch 1/2 inch wheel studs because that's what I had on there before. So now we're going to put these in, get the C-clips in, get the rear end buttoned up, and we're going to finish installing the Hotchkis springs. Push it back out. There we go. That one's easy enough. See if we can get the other one in. How you do it. Now I'm going to put my cross pin back in, which keeps the axles from moving inside and the C-clips dropping out. In case you didn't know, that's how that worked. Okay, I got that tightened up, and I had a little bit of gear lube left over in a bottle. I poured some of that on the bearings and gears. There was already some on there when I assembled it, but I poured what I had in there just to give it some more. And I'll get my RTV put on here. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, so let's set that on there. Let's put that right there. Okay, while I've got it right here, these brakes were the other rear end, same brakes and everything, backing plates from the other rear end that I had in the car. It was leaking rear end dope, and the brake shoes are all nasty, and I'm going to clean all that up and change it. Wheel cylinders are fine, I'm going to leave those. Okay, I got the brakes put together. Now I'm going to try to get this thing off this stand by myself tonight, and the camera's going to roll for your viewing pleasure. If I end up falling and breaking something or hurting myself, so you get to see it. And this is an approved method for cleaning up the shop. So okay, got the rear end back on the ground. Ouch. I've got the leaf springs out and ready. I've got all my brackets and plates and stuff painted. Now, this Hotchkis kit is designed to lower it 1.5 inches. They also have a 3-inch kit. Like a lot of other stuff, this was actually made for the 67 through 69 Camaro. First generation Camaro, 68 to 74 Nova, pretty much the subframe and the rear end, everything's the same. Now, the problem is your front leaf spring perch on a Camaro is different. If you have a Nova and you use your stock Nova perch, it's not going to drop it 1.5 inches. It's going to drop it about 1/2 inch. And I'll show you why. Take this, let's go over to Frank and Nova. I think I've got the right side. I'm going to grab it just in case. Now over here on Frank and Nova, I've got this perch, and if I can turn it around the right way, there we go. Okay, now, so that's how that bolts in. You can see there right here in the middle where the leaf spring perch goes, you still have another inch that it could go up there in this recess right here. The Camaro front perches put the spring way up here, and that gives you another inch. So since these were designed for the Camaros, if you use these, you're going to lose, you're only going to gain, well, you're only going to drop 1/2 inch, I think. It says in the instructions to not use the ones where the spring eye still is below this edge when it's on its side. And these are obviously, that is still below that edge when it's on its side. So, there, I made a boo right here, there. So it will still be below its edge when it's on that side. Now, that's fine because I'm completely okay with that, because I kind of liked where the rear end was sitting before. I mainly wanted a better spring than the factory spring. I wanted something that's going to handle a little better. Now I'm about to put some 18s on that Nova, and these leaf springs, I'm hoping I'm not really pro touring, but pro touring. I wanted to handle a little better. The car had been set up with the traction bars and all that for drag racing, and I only drive it on the street now. I rarely take it to the track, so I'm going to be doing some serious long distance driving in the near future. So I wanted to handle a little better, and figured I'd put the Hotchkis Leaf Springs on the back. I'm going to use my stock shocks for the moment. I've got to order some expensive shocks, so I'm going to wait till I put those on there. I'm going to drive it around to see what difference just the springs make with stock. Well, these shocks are kind of messed up, so I'm going to put some new ones on. Anyway, let's get to the leaf springs. Let's get those bolted down to the rear end with the new U-bolts, and the bushings put in and ready to go into the car. Came with a little thing of lube, so I'm going to put a little bit of that on. Feels more like glue. Yeah. Gives you a little bit more ride comfort. All right, let's get both of these done and then get them over there under the car. Okay, so the front spring eye has a rubber bushing in it. And it came with a new bolt and lock nut. Let me go look and see if I got that one in right or wrong. That is the driver's side. Okay, I swapped it around. Now the shackles come gold ear dotted like the grade 8 bolts. And then I painted them and then proceeded to drop them on the ground and got them dirty. And that's okay. They're just going to dry like that. This is the driver's side, so the bolt needs to go away from the gas tank, what the instructions say. So we'll put this bolt over here. All right. And this one has lock nut on it, so what I'm going to do is just get it tight enough to where I don't have to wrench on it for a month. Once I get it under the car and I'm ready to tighten it up with the weight on it. Okay, and they give you 4 rubber pads for your leaf springs. Make sure you put those in right. Okay. One of the things in the instructions is your bottom plates. The holes aren't big enough for the 1/2-inch U-bolts he gives you. So that's something that you have to drill out. And it's just a little bit, too small. Highlight a quick release vise. Haha. Okay, got those drilled out. Now your bracket that goes underneath your leaf spring, it's got a holder on here for your emergency brake cable. This one needs to go on your passenger side. The shock is in front of the axle on the passenger side, and it holds your emergency brake cable right there. Driver's side does not have that. So, all right, let's see if we can get this leaf spring up here and get the rubber pad on and get a U-bolt in it and hold it still. This should be fun. Okay, I got the passenger side on last night. I was not able to get it on camera without a bunch of profanity. So you need help doing it, and I'm gonna try it again with the driver's side tonight by myself and see if we can get it on camera. We're gonna try, and then we're gonna get it up under the car and hopefully bolt it in. Let's see how this goes. Leaf spring's probably gonna fall on my leg and hurt me. And guys, at this point, it's probably been a month since I posted a video. If you've been waiting for me to post anything else, I'm sorry. Okay. Leaf springs are mounted to the rear end. I'm not going to show you that part because I cussed the whole way through it. It was a pain in the butt. I did it by myself and I did not enjoy it. I started on it last night and I finished it tonight. If I'd had help, it would have been much easier. When I was drilling out these plates, I said to keep the holes kind of barely go as big as you need to. That's not true. The spring perches that are welded to the rear end are welded at an angle, and that brings this outside hole and this inside hole almost underneath the axle tube, which makes U-bolts hard to get on. Maybe that's why the factory used a U-bolt on one side and T-bolts on the other, because it was some kind of aggravating. Anyway, I enlarged the holes just a little bit, just enough to get those on there, made sure everything was tightened up. I've got my shackles on the back, my perch is on the front, and now I'm going to try to weld this thing under there and see if I can get it mounted. I was trying to get it to set in there so it would ride without twisting. Whole thing is going to have to go towards the front just a hair. There we go. Okay, I could not get the front spring eye perch to go where it needed to go. And the reason being is because this bolt that goes through had an extra washer on the back that I put in. It came with the kit. I put it in, and you can see where it was beaten up on the subframe connector. It wouldn't let it go that way, and it wouldn't let it come forward. It was actually kind of stuck on top of it and wedged. So I took that off. That should let me get it forward and go that way. If you have subframe connectors, don't put the extra washer on the back side of the bolt. And you want this bolt where the head is this way. Well, if you don't have subframe connectors, I guess it can back out. Never mind. Okay, so it's the next day. Again, seems like that keeps happening, but anyway. What I've got left, I've got to tie up my emergency brake cables because I don't have an emergency brake on the car anymore. I've got to put my bracket for my flexible brake line. I've got to put it under the bolt for the rear end cover. Got to change the shocks out, put the drive shaft in, put the wheels on, lower it down, and then tighten all the bushings. So I went to the parts house and picked up some new shocks, some basic shocks. I got these Gabriel Ultras. Now I'm going to end up putting some QA1s on the back that are adjustable, but I don't have the budget for it right now, so I just got these. We're going to put these on here and see how it does with just these. I have QA1 coilovers on the front, and that's why I want to go with them on the back. But they make a stock application adjustable QA1 for the back. So. Everything is done except for tightening up the bushings on the front and rear of the leaf springs, which you can't do that till you get the weight on the car. Everything pushes into place, and then you tighten it up. Finally putting the tires back on. I've been ready to drive my car some. Let's get this done. Hopefully I don't need to beat the shocks in on this tire. When I originally did that, I had 275 60s on here. So we'll see. These are 255 60s. Yeah, that's what they are. And they're the Mickey Thompson Sportsman ST. They're all perfectly torqued to 93.5 foot-pounds. Okay, I got everything tightened up, bled the brakes, had to charge the battery. I took it out and drove it. Got back to the house, pulled into the shop, measured it. It was at 24.5 when we started this before I swapped everything. Now it's at 23 3/4. Like I said before, the front spring eye, if you have the Camaro ones that kit is designed for, it's going to drop at the 1.5 inches. It dropped at about 3/4 of an inch. Those should make up about 1 inch. So, and it may settle some more and drop a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to drop a lot. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button, please. Ask me any questions if you got any questions in the comments. And I've got a bunch of videos coming soon. See you guys then.